Hello everyone and welcome back to the 5th season of Dungeons & Death Battles as we continue on our journey to find the most lethal monster in all of Dungeons & Dragons. In this season, as with those that have come before it, 16 deadly dungeon denizens will be facing off against each other until we find the most barbaric of the bunch. This, of course, being the CR5 season. The rules of the arena are simple. Combatants start 30 feet apart. There is no fleeing the arena, no outside influence is allowed, and victory is achieved by kill only. Due to some very specific shenanigans last season, the kobold mob that runs the arena have seen it fit to install a 150-foot high ceiling, and have ruled that any creature leaving the arena via any means of teleportation, astral trickery, or the like must return to the material plane within one turn or be disqualified, and likely consumed by the arena arbiters. We don't know exactly what they are, but they sound absolutely terrifying, so best obey the rules. Anyway, once again, I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight as we kick things off in morbid style. In today's blue corner, the Flesh Golem stirs. A hideous amalgamation of flesh, blood, and machine. This monster is straight from a nightmare. Lightning courses through its abominable veins as its creator prepares it for glorious arena combat, where it will, of course, be seeking to annihilate its opposition for the progress of its own glorious evolution. Although this will not be an easy task, as in today's red corner, it is our pleasure to announce the one and only Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker, the CR4 champion, a creature that combined its lack of mercy with advanced cunning and powerful magics to achieve victory against all comers in the previous season of arena combat. The Nightmare Speaker has notably entered the pits today with her crown on full display, no doubt in order to send a message to the blue team, a clear sign that she is not going to be put down easily. And now at the current moment, the teams are finalizing their preparations, which means there is time for us to jump into a combatant analysis. So let's jump across to the Flesh Golem. It will be striding into the arena with a massive 127 hit point average, although this will be offset by a meager 9 AC. The Flesh Golem does have a decent stat spread, with an impressive 19 in strength and 18 in constitution being highlights. So the stats do pale in comparison, however, with 6 in intelligence and 5 in charisma being on the very low side here. That being said, this horrific conglomeration does boast immunity to lightning and poison damage, as well as the charmed, exhaustion, frightened, paralyzed, petrified, and poisoned conditions, showcasing the sheer resilience of this disjointed soul. The Golem also has magic resistance and the incredibly powerful lightning absorption ability. This in particular converts lightning damage into hit points, turning a potentially deadly attack into life-driving energy. On the flip side, the Flesh Golem has an aversion to fire and will make attacks and ability rolls on disadvantage following taking any fire damage. Despite this glaring weakness, the Golem is immutable, its form unalterable, and any that fight it best beware its unstable temperament, as when bloodied, this carnal construction will go berserk. But as we all know here in the arena, nothing is ever guaranteed, and that seems to be especially the case when you face off against the current CR4 champion, none other than, of course, today's red corner combatant, the proven lethal Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker. Some of you will be extremely familiar with the Nightmare Speaker, a creature that rose through the ranks in the CR4 season only to take the crown in the final face-off, securing it the title of champion. But for those not aware of this serpentine horror and its award-winning stat set, the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker slithers into the arena once again with a hit point average of 71 and an AC of 14. The Speaker is immune to poison damage and the poison condition, and can make use of a plethora of controlling spells such as darkness and fear. Invoke Nightmare became the linchpin of its CR4 strategy, and it will likely look to put this horrifying ability to good use in the CR5 season as well, with the ability allowing the Yuan-ti to inflict 4d10 points of psychic damage to a creature that fails the DC 13 intelligence save, while also instilling it with fear and additional per-round consequences should failures continue to chain together. The Nightmare Speaker has the Devil's Sight and magic resistance traits, the latter being self-explanatory, with Devil's Sight allowing her to see through magical darknesses, including that which she can conjure herself using her very own spells. That of course leaves only the Nightmare Speaker's attacks, with Constrict, Scimitar, and Spectral Fangs all being available to bring to bear. Spectral Fangs of course boasting that incredible 120-foot range and staggering 3d8 plus 3 points of necrotic damage output, yet another element that helped this Umbral worshipper achieve previous arena dominance. opponents. The Yuan-ti also has a very solid stat spread with no negative modifiers at all, highlights being her 16s in strength and charisma. And with all that said, it does look like the arena teams are ready. The Flesh Golem is pounding at the gate, eager to brawl, while the Yuan-ti looks on in silent confidence, seemingly unperturbed by its electronically enhanced opponent. Our Kobold Stewards also appear to have completed their final checks, and from my booth up here way in the rafters, I can see the starting flag waving down below, which does mean only one thing, and that, dear viewers, is that it is time to roll for the very first initiative of Season 5, kicking off with the Flesh Golem and its -1 modifier. And so rolling in for the Flesh Golem here, as it looks to kick things off. Again, it does have a -1 modifier to this, so rolling in, let's see what it can do. And there we have it from the Flesh Golem as it kicks off the CR5 season in style, rolling in with a natural 20, the very, very first roll of the CR5 season right here. That -1, of course, only bringing that down to a 19, which is an incredibly respectable roll. The Flesh Golem really coming in straight away here with an insanely high roll. It looks like this is going to be the start of something good for it here, and that leaves the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker with only a single option, and that is to match that natural 20 or face the wrath of the Flesh Golem straight out of the gate. And the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker is absolutely going to give it a go, but it does need a natural 20 here in order for its +2 modifier to drag that score higher than the Flesh Golem's. So rolling in, and that is a 13 +2 for 15, an otherwise very respectable roll, having been quashed by the Flesh Golem and its absurd natural 20, which does absolutely mean that the construct is going to be going first. And the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker's eyes open in horror as all it sees barreling towards it is an electronically charged fleshy mass of berserker rage, closing in on its position as the Flesh Golem uses its 30 feet of movement to get into melee combat with the Nightmare Speaker, where it will initiate combat, making 2 slam attacks, of course +7s to these, looking to beat the Nightmare Speaker's AC of 14. So first attack from the Flesh Golem, rolling in +7 to this, and that is a 17 +7 for 24, which is absolutely going to be a hit. And now slam deals 2d8 +4 points of bludgeoning damage plus 1d8 points of lightning damage, but as there are no immunities or resistances to speak of on the Nightmare Speaker's end, we will just be rolling in 3d8 +4 points of damage as the Flesh Golem immediately looks to put some pain upon its opponent. So rolling in first attack's damage. And that is a pretty strong hit right there straight away from the Flesh Golem. 2 polarizing dice there with an 8 and a 1 for 9, plus that 3, of course, bringing that up to 12 with its 4 modifier, pulling that all the way up to 16 points of damage as that first attack drags the Nightmare Speaker from 71 hit points down to just 55. But that is not going to be all, as the Flesh Golem still has a second attack to roll in with. Second slam attack coming in. And that is a 10 +7 for 17, which is also going to be another connecting strike. The Nightmare Speaker is really not appreciating that natural 20 initiative roll from its opponent, as yet another barrage of hideous construct damage is headed its way. So once again, 3d8 +4 points of damage rolling in. And there we have it, 3 7s, which is an absolutely huge roll from the Flesh Golem. Just 3 7s, of course, making for 21 by themselves, being topped up by that +4 modifier for 25 points of damage. It's going to drop the Nightmare Speaker further from 55 to just 30 hit points after that initial assault from the Flesh Golem. This thing absolutely means business out here, and the Nightmare Speaker has been unable to do anything about it as of yet. That initiative roll in combination with that sheer damage output just proving absolutely brutal thus far. And with that, we will bring an end to the Flesh Golem's turn, as it dealt an absolutely staggering 41 points of damage in that opening round. Again, leaving the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker on just 30 hit points. The Serpentine Champion is going to need to do something drastic here, and it is going to open things up with its own round by dropping the Darkness spell upon the Flesh Golem's position, which it is going to use to hopefully shroud itself, enabling somewhat of an escape. Although, because of its initiative order, this will merely be a setup, and is still a risky move to make. With all that being said, the Yuan-ti doesn't have too many options on the table at the moment, and so Darkness it is, as the 15-foot space within the arena begins to fill with umbral blackness, as the magic of Dendar's Wrath takes hold. Does mean that the Nightmare Speaker will now be able to skirt just outside the reach of the Flesh Golem, moving to that 15-foot edge, where it will of course be looking to contain the Flesh Golem, hopefully putting its attacks at disadvantage. But of course this ploy does mean that the Flesh Golem will get to make an opportunity attack against the Nightmare Speaker, so rolling in now at disadvantage due to that magical darkness. And a natural one does mean that the Flesh Golem absolutely whiffs that attack. And the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker is for now able to enact its plan, skirting around to the edge as the Flesh Golem swings and completely misses its target. A small win here for the Nightmare Speaker as we do hand back over to the Flesh Golem, which is going to kick off its turn by moving back to melee combat range with the Nightmare Speaker. Although it's mere 6 intelligence, which means that it is not going to have the brain power to realize that staying within magical darkness is a terrible idea, and that by simply moving slightly around further, it would be able to roll straight on its attack dice, but unfortunately its brain is simply unable to comprehend this idea, and it will be rolling in with 2 slam attacks at disadvantage due to the Yuan-ti's magical darkness ploy. Let's see what it can do. But with 2 17s, of course being topped up by that +7 for 24, that is not going to matter whatsoever, as even at disadvantage, the Flesh Golem's brutal rage drags an attack through to connect, which does subject a rather disappointed Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker to yet another 3d8 plus 4 points of damage. The Golem currently out here proving itself a true arena menace. So first points of damage rolling in. And that is not quite so high as before, but still a respectable roll with a 5 and a 4 for 9, +1 for 10, topped up by that +4 modifier to make for 14 points of damage, which will reduce the Nightmare Speaker from 30 to 16 hit points as the Flesh Golem rolls in with yet another attack, still at disadvantage. Let's see what it's got. And it looks like fate is not on the Nightmare Speaker's side, as an 11 on disadvantage with that 7 modifier is still going to total for 18, which is an absolute surefire strike against the Nightmare Speaker's 14 AC, which does mean it will be subject to yet another 3d8 plus 4 points of damage. So rolling in once again for the Flesh Golem, can it do it right here and now? And with a 5 +6 for 11, +7 for 18, topped up by that +4 modifier for 22 points of damage, the Flesh Golem has done it, and it has not taken it more than 2 rounds to put the CR4 champion in the ground. Absolutely no sweat from its brow right here as we kick off the CR5 Championship League with the Flesh Golem absolutely erasing the Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker, leaving it absolutely no quarter to defend itself or do anything really memorable. What a disappointing end to an otherwise incredibly exciting career for the Serpent. But then again, we have entered the CR5 League, and it was, of course, batting above its station, taking on the Flesh Golem here in the very first round, proving fatal. The disjointed amalgamation of body, bones, and flesh just absolutely proving why CR categories exist. The Yuan-ti Nightmare Speaker, a casualty in the very first qualifying round. And with all that said, that does, of course, mean that the Flesh Golem will be rising through into the quarter-final rounds. And with that, I would like to thank you all very, very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed witnessing the Flesh Golem absolutely dismantle its opposition here. And I hope you will be joining me again next time when the Beholder Zombie takes on the Night Hag in yet another CR5 qualifying bout. And if you did enjoy what you saw, please consider dropping a like on the video, commenting down below, and of course subscribing to the channel for more. The series will be continuing next week, and it'd be great to see you back for another one. I do also have a Patreon, which is currently hosting a vote where you can pledge your allegiance to the creature that you think is going to carry itself all the way to victory in the CR5 League. All the Patreon features, of course, being completely free, so head over there, check that out, and pledge your allegiance to the monster that you think has got what it takes to go all the way. And with all that said, thank you once again very, very much for watching. Let's hear it once again for the Flesh Golem, and I will see you in another video very soon.